Hi, I'm Rob,
And I'm Angie.
and together,
We are
TwinFinity. We blew this up already. And Cookie.
Cookie. That's why I'm distracted and I can't do my job right, because I was like, where does Cookie fit in? I was like, hi, we're Rob, we're Angie, and we're Cookie! And then TwinFinity doesn't fit in there, so I messed up. It's okay. Cookie wanted to say hi. Actually, this is not Cookie saying hi. This is me stopping Cookie from licking Rob's bare legs.
I've got a pair of shorts on because it's finally summertime, and all of a sudden, the salt that's on my legs from exercising or whatever is a desire of licking.
Yeah, Cookie loves when Rob comes back from a run and he's all sweaty. Cookie's like, ooh, yay! And it's disgusting. You don't even want to know. It's gross. But anyway, Cookie has a licking fetish, so we're going to keep her distracted over here.
So because I'm sitting on the floor and I'm down at Cookie level, all of a sudden I'm a target.
That's right. So as you may notice, we are in a different spot. I decided, well, I guess I decided, but we co-decided.
She decided
that we'd not do it in front of the fireplace. And it was instigated because I have a bike that I am selling that's sitting in front of the fireplace right now. And it would have taken 10 seconds to move it. But I was like, oh, I don't want to move it. And then I was like, well, maybe a change of scenery would be good anyway. So we have a change of scenery for today's question and answer.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So before we get started on question and answers, as promised in previous videos, because of one person asking for us, sorry, now Cookie has a mat in her ear and I'm distracted. A person had asked if we could share videos of just our regular life, and I was like, that's too hard to do. But we would promise to tell little stories about what we do in our daily life, the strange things, the fun things, the weird things that we do. So Rob is going to be the one to tell our strange thing of the day.
Yes, it's called gooping. It's called after Angie has brushed her teeth or many other things that she does.
Or put lipstick on.
She'll put Lipsil or something on her lips. Chapstick, okay. And, of course, me being, I guess, the romantic guy that I am, there's Angie. Okay, I'll go over and give her a kiss.
My 100th kiss of the day sometimes.
Sure, and sometimes I'll forget. It's right after toothbrushing. I should know better. She's going to be goopy. So I walk over there and I give her a kiss, and then all of a sudden...
Ew, I gooped myself.
I gooped myself. What happens the next night? Oh, there's Angie. Kiss. Gooped myself again.
And sometimes I'm nice enough to save him, and he'll go to give me a kiss, and I'll be like, no, I'm goopy. And then he'll go, oh, thank you. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, you're the sucker. You figure it out.
So I goop myself.
Goopy. That's right. Yeah.
I do not learn. It's happened literally hundreds of times.
You're just too lovey.
Mm. And sometimes I end up too goopy.
Yes. It's funny. So sometimes I'm nice enough to tell him, and other times I'm like, no, just let him figure it out.
Oh.
Now, what's interesting is this first question that we're going to ask talks about Blu-ray twin flames, and we did not plan to be wearing blue together today. I normally have been pink, but I actually decided to wear blue. I do have other clothes than pink, shocking, but I just mostly wear pink.
Most of the time, it's just shocking pink.
Shocking pink, yes, sometimes it is.
Not pink shocking.
But amazingly, we ended up both in blue, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
completely unplanned.
The other day I was wearing my red shirt, and my red shirt made it into the laundry tonight, so I'm back into a blue shirt. I wasn't even sure we were going to do a video tonight, but we are.
That's true.
Both in blue.
Yes. Oh, and speaking of which, happy solstice.
Yes.
Yes.
Summer solstice. Well, tomorrow technically is the first full day. Yeah, okay. Happy solstice.
That's right. We had hoped to do this video a little sooner, but it was just meant to be done on solstice time.
Yeah, normally we would do it very early in the month.
Yeah.
But didn't turn out that way. Yeah, a combination of summer and bad weather and being busy. And you'd think the bad weather would give us more time. But it seemingly didn't. It just made everything more difficult.
Yeah.
Around this part of the world, we have what I call monsoon June. June hits, turns cloudy every day, has some rain. About early, mid-July, it goes away. But I only blame it on 1 month. It's June.
Yeah. It's okay.
Then it turns real summer and you go like crazy for about 2 months and then
and then you're praying for winter and fall because you need a rest. Okay, I'm praying for winter and fall because I need a rest.
I'm wishing it was just at the end of June again. I'd take another week or two of rain and then head back into summer.
Yeah.
But then we take a couple of days of rain in the fall and it turns into winter.
Okay, I think we should dive into questions now.
Yeah, first question. I'd tap dance all night without getting into the first question. Somebody questioned something I said in a previous video, and I went to go ahead and do a little bit of research online to, well, maybe either clarify or maybe even to use that one of the famous words, defend myself. And I realized I wasn't very defensible. I'd messed up on a definition.
Defensible?
I was not defensible. So I'm going to read. I'm actually going to read the first half of the question. The person actually provided some clarity as to what they were thinking about in a second paragraph. But the first paragraph is where the meat and potatoes are, and that's where I'm going to go. This person's probably already going, yeah, I know, it's me you're going to say the question of. So, first question.
Oh, boy.
Rob, you mentioned something along the lines that some people who cannot get into a twin flame relationship might as well have a blue-ray twin flame relationship. For me, the firm confirmation that I am on a twin flame journey came after I heard someone talking about blue-ray twin flames.
Interesting.
I thought, that's me. But I also completely resonate with your story. I should have gone back and reviewed the story.
Right, because there's only 24 videos of it.
Yes. I haven't exactly figured out what it means to be a blue-ray twin flame, other than being related to the throat chakra, very important, which meaning speaking your truth, and Archangel Michael. I also believe that the next wave of TFs may also be indigo twin flames. That's where I got messed up, related to the third eye. I consider all types to be true twin flames. I agree. Therefore, I was wondering why you made a distinction between the two. Because I made a mistake. Could you please share your thoughts on that? If I had to guess, I would say you two are blue rays too.
Correct.
Angie completely agrees. Not trying to make a hierarchy, but you talk about twin flames or blue-ray twin flames or indigo twin flames, all the different bits. I'm going to say that I'd misinterpreted that there was levels where you almost like you get badges or stripes, and then when you get them all, you're a complete twin flame. So if you can't get the absolute best twin flame relationship with your partner because you're maybe not equalized, maybe if you're both at the blue-ray level, go there. Now, the blue-ray twin flame is related with Archangel Michael, very much because of the blue ray of light and star seeds and whatnot. They're supposed to be the highest level of evolution.
I don't think I knew that. But
I had never really tried to define the difference, and maybe I shouldn't have. I should maybe leave it all alone, because once you start getting too hierarchical, it really can get messy, and you can end up in the position that I'm at, especially if people have different definitions that could range from all different points of view of how you're looking at it. The thought of being highly empathic, also empathetic, very good communicator, very, very sensitive, related to the blue ray, which is the light that is closest to the Archangel Michael. All that would tend to lean towards the thought that when you finally collected a lot of your other colors up, then the blue ray would be the toughest to relate with, because it's one of the highest levels of evolution. I'm just proud of anybody that figures out that they've got a twin flame relationship possibility because of the signs and signals that they have, whether or not they come from one color or another as far as their evolution of how they've grown to be a twin flame doesn't really matter to me a lot. Hence why I'd like to combine them all together and just call them twin flames. But if you happen to feel that you're a specific color and maybe you don't necessarily have that all-encompassing, all put together realm of twin flame, but you feel that you might be a developing level of twin flame, then sure. If that's your twin, if that's where your twin's at, maybe you're above, maybe you're the one playing catch up, all depending on what point of view you're at, yeah, sure, go for it. But I don't think I'm going to relate to this again publicly unless I really have a strong point in that direction.
Well, maybe you'll get some intuitive downloads about it, and then you'll go, ha, now I know what to share.
Yeah.
Okay. I personally, as far as my understanding goes, twin flames are twin flames are twin flames. So it's not that, yes, there's different colors. So you can be a blue ray, you can be a gold ray. There's, I don't know, other colors.
It takes all colors to make a rainbow. Right. So you need them all, and they're all important.
And I don't necessarily think that one is better or worse than another. And sure, I mean, there's lots of definitions out there of what's what for the different colors. But for me, I just went intuitively. As soon as I heard the words blue ray years ago, I was like, that's me. And I just knew it without even reading about it. And then when I read about it, and it was like, yes, highly empathic, highly sensitive, I was like, okay, that's definitely me. But I wouldn't worry too much about the colors if that's like confusing, because it's not important. It's a soul connection. It's not about having the logical understanding sometimes, you know? So if you hear of a color and you go, that resonates, great, research it and dig more into it if you feel inspired to. But if you're like, this color stuff is just too confusing and I have no idea, don't stress about it. Like, it's not important to the journey in terms of, I can't get to union if I don't know what color ray I am. Not at all, right? Again, the intellectual versus the soul is not important at all.
Respect the communication, respect the actual connection, but maybe don't question too much of why or how it exists. Just be happy that it does.
Yeah. I think often in this connection, we can get stuck in the mind, in the logic, in the needing to define and understand. And sometimes that actually hinders the connection because, again, it's a soul connection. So it's more about being in the soul, being in our knowingness, being in our intuitiveness, not in our logic and in our mind, and having to understand things from a logical sort of sense.
And it's so tough to do from a three-dimensional point of view to try to define these differences because our spoken words, our written words are three-dimensional.
Right.
How can they accurately express fourth, fifth, sixth dimensions or even higher? There's just no words that can actually express what is being expressed from a lower dimension.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. Gets to be a feeling, a knowing, an understanding, like Angie said.
And what I find interesting, I didn't even know Archangel Michael was part of the Blue Ray. I had no idea. But it makes sense to me because we are very connected to the mountains, and especially to Banff and Lake Louise. Those are some of our favorite areas in the world. And those are Archangel Michael's energetic vortex sort of homes. So, kind of cool.
Sorry, my fault.
Didn't mean to cause confusion, but sometimes confusion is good because then you get to add more clarity later.
And it's amazing how a question, like the question that came back at me, caused me to step from a thought that I had something put together well enough to the thought that just lumped me in with the confused. Because now I've seen too many points of view, doing a little bit of research, got a little book off to the side that didn't exactly provide me any second round of clarity. In fact, I'm almost questioning where my initial impressions come from. I think someone tried to explain it, and I think I thought I had it, and maybe I missed.
It would actually be interesting to know if this person can comment in this video, if they see this, And let us know which video it was that comment was made, because it would be actually really interesting to go back and watch that and see what was really said, so we can maybe add a little more clarity.
I've eaten enough crow. I don't want to add any more clarity. I need a new question.
Okay, fair enough. You can move on now.
And you know, it's not that I'm really highly embarrassed. It's just that sometimes when I've seen other people really confused and doubting themselves and second guessing themselves, I don't feel really badly for them, because it's real easy to get lost and confused. It's just me right now. I'm going through my own, oh no, how did I get all lost in this? And I'm just feeling bad with them. So it's just my empathetic side that's eating me alive. I'm glad I have that empathetic side.
It's your Blu-ray empathetic side.
Oh.
See, there you go.
Not saying the indigos can't have that.
No. That's why we're not even going to define all the different kinds of twin flames. First of all, because we don't know them all. And second of all, because who knows? There's lots of definitions. Yeah.
We do know people who would probably take a far better run at trying to know all this
I'm sure, yes.
Dio comes to mind.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy, he has spent half his lifetime trying to figure all this out. And he's done a pretty good job of it.
Yeah.
Can I move on to a different question?
Yes, you can.
Can I bail on this?
Run away.
Yeah, no, I'll stay here,
okay,
but I'll go to a different question.
Stay here.
Okay. My TF does not speak to me any longer. He has cut me off and blocked me completely. And when he ran into me, he didn't acknowledge me, since his partner found out about me. I still believe we had a connection, or I did. I was put on speakerphone by the partner, and he wants to work on his relationship, and we can't speak anymore. We were together 3 years. Any idea how to deal with the disbelief of it all and sadness that hits hard at times?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that can hurt and cut deep, because you're like, we had a connection, and now you want to just pretend I don't even exist, probably. So the first thing I would suggest is remember that you always, always, always will have a connection. You're connected at a very deep soul level. So even if the actions he's giving out now say, no, we're not connected, that doesn't mean you're not connected. That just means this is the journey he's on right now. He's needing to be in this other relationship and wants to be in this other relationship right now for the growth and the benefit it's going to give him. And he doesn't understand probably the intuitive side of things to understand your connection. So he needs to just wipe it clean and pretend it doesn't exist so he can have this other relationship. That's often the masculine energy, because they live a lot in their head. They need to understand things from a logical point of view, and if it's not logical, then it's got to go.
Just one moment.
Got to entertain the dog. When you're sitting on the floor, this is what happens.
When you're sitting on the floor right beside the dog's area, once in a while, the dog will bring you a toy, and the thought is you must throw the toy.
She murdered her squeaky one a long time ago, so at least we don't have to hide that one before we do a video anymore.
You know, oftentimes these decisions come directly out of the third dimensional necessity of existence.
Yeah.
A person makes a choice that they've got to be 100% solid in the relationship they're in, and they can't afford any more interference, or maybe it's just too damaging to allow any more interference, and therefore a person that they prefer to have in the corner of their life, at least still, and still be in touch with, it's just not worth the risk. So that person is gone. They're cut off in the third dimension to keep the third dimensional aspect healthy and happy.
Yes.
Yes, the connections above still work in the higher dimensions, but it can be really harsh because most of us still spend a lot of time in the third dimension, and that's where we communicate from, to go back to the last question almost, the one I ran away from, that our communication comes in the third dimension, and being ghosted does hurt. It just does.
The thing to keep in mind, though, is just because this is the situation now, it doesn't mean it's the situation forever. I don't know if you know our story. In fact, for people that don't, we'll link it above. But Rob and I went through a similar thing. Like, there was years where we had no contact because we both needed to be in other relationships for the growth that they offered us. And it was just like, okay, that relationship, in other words, this one, is over and we're moving on and we're done with each other. So even though we had a connection and still did have a connection, even though we were separated and didn't speak for years, we needed that time to work on ourselves and be in other relationships to clear some karma and work and grow in our own ways. So just because this is the situation now, it doesn't mean it's forever. So take this time to work on yourself, to do your own healing, to do your own growth, while he's doing that in his relationship.
I really like the wording in the question where he says that he wants to work on his relationship. It is a little bit different than being in a relationship. He wants to work on it. In other words, there's some growth there that he needs to do.
Right.
So if he's growing, that's also quite fair. That's very, very much required. And you pretty much have to let it happen, because what can you really do about it? And how do you deal with the disbelief? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Sometimes you have to revel a little bit in the positive aspects of growth. If a person didn't grow at all, then what kept you from having a permanent relationship to begin with that person would never change, and you'd never have a chance. So if you allow a person to grow, then you're also allowing potential opportunities for the future.
Yep.
And yeah, it can look real grim at the present. Won't deny that.
Well, and I know it's really, really hard, especially for the feminine energy in the connection, to accept when the other person, usually obviously the masculine energy, goes off into another relationship, because the feminine is the one that knows about the connection on the deeper level. And they're like, how can this other person not get it? Why would they even want to be with someone else when I am their soul connection? Why were they not with me? Can't they see we have this divine connection?
Maybe they can't.
And they can't often on the soul level, or even sometimes on the intellectual level. Because they're intellectual, they live more here, not here. They don't feel, they think. So that's part of their growth, and that's part of the lessons they need to learn, is to balance their feelings and their thinking and their mind. And they need that space sometimes with another person in order to get that. So don't take it personally of like, why don't they want to be with me? It's not that they don't want to be with you. It's just that on a deeper level, they know that they have work to do with other people. There's karma to clear. There's growth to learn. We've said it many, many times. We'll probably say it many, many more. If we didn't have the other relationships we had, we would not be together. All those other relationships we had in our 17 years of separation helped us grow enough to come back together to each other. We balanced out. We were both very extremes, which is often what happens with twin flames, right? You meet, you have that magical connection, and then everything starts to blow up and you start pulling apart because you're not balanced. So that's when all the mirroring happens and all the, I forget what it's called, the push and pull happens. And then you finally have to just separate and do your work. So that's what he's doing. He's doing the work. And that his work might not look the same as yours, but just trust that he is doing work and growth and healing in his own way.
Sometimes work happens.
Yep. I mean, Rob was in a 12-year relationship while we were apart, and I'm still so grateful to that woman for the amount of work they did together, the amount of change that he went through because of her. And we wouldn't be together without that relationship or somebody like her. So.
And as the person that went through all that work, I will probably never completely understand it, because as I was living it day to day, I didn't notice a lot of the change, although there was times that I went, oh, now I get things a little better than what I used to. But it's almost hard for me, because I was changing a little bit as I went along. It's actually hard for me to remember the old me. But Angie experienced that firsthand.
I remember the old him very clearly, and he's very different now.
I don't remember me quite so clearly. I always thought I had a soft and sensitive side to my drill sergeant.
There was more drill sergeant than soft and sensitive, though. There's way more soft and sensitive now, and very little drill sergeant.
Oh, there's still some drill sergeants.
It's much better. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's in actually one of our videos. I think it's called The Drill Sergeant and the Angel Lady or something like that. And funny enough, I think it was done right in front of this angel.
Maybe.
I vaguely remember that. But yeah.
I've lost track of them.
Me too. So again, don't lose hope. Trust that this is part of the process.
And even if the hope is taking a little bit of a beating, don't lose the happiness and understanding that it's all necessary anyway. This might not feel good to you, but it's still necessary overall for the person's growth.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Licking time. Hey! No.
Next question?
Yep.
Here,
it's
have
a
a
long
dog.
one again.
Oh, it's a long one.
Okay, you can lay down there. No licking allowed.
Oh, I gotta stretch my legs.
Hey, Licky Lou, that's what we call you.
Next question. I have been in this journey since 2017. That's a fair amount of time. That's 5 years. In a relationship with my twin twice, then in 2020. We separated in 2020, and he left my life in 3D and has not communicated since then. The TF label came to me in a dream when we first split in 2017.
That's really cool.
It was a magical relationship in so many ways, and the activation quite felt and yet triggers me, and yet the triggers were huge then. The second time around, we were very happy until he lost his job and had to move away. I felt so abandoned, and my triggers of abandonment and inner child wounds came to the surface.
Yes.
I got to work on me, and 16 months later, I understood the union more than ever. I don't want to be with anyone else. I can't. There is merging. Never heard of it. Never heard of it in that form until your videos. My hand on my lap and sometimes in his hand, and I hear him speak to me. Yet, I never dream of him. But the... Uh-oh. That's a 5-syllable word. I ran into it. Serendipity is crazy. He has been back in town for a while, yet no contact. How is this possible?
Similar to the last question. It's like,
why
don't they know about this connection?
Sometimes it is frustrating. Sometimes I accept it. Like Angie, an angel is present. Shamuel. Oh, I'll have to go back to my notes.
Rob's been studying the angels.
His name pops up in billboards, and and the waking up at 3 a.m. and so on. Yeah, okay. One thing I knew, we both are 61, and I wish for this so much that it accompanies my every thought, my every breath, my life. There is joy in me and peace, but also an infinite longing and a sense of walking with a shadow right next to me. Yeah, me and my shadow. I have worked with TF guides, but none of them speak of this in terms that you have. The crazy merging. The me leaning on the left side of my bed and literally feeling him embrace me, and the utter ecstasy of absolute peace and bliss. I wonder what you think about this.
So first of all, just to clarify, this is most likely, I'm guessing, a question that came from the video that we did about merging, which, again, if I remember, I will link it above for those that have not seen it or maybe want to review it again. So yeah, we were talking in that video about the different ways that twin flames merge, and she's described a few of them here. So I think the question is kind of like, I have all this merging, I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it, but we're not together and we're like in our 60s, and where's this going? And fair question. I used to say, and I used to believe, that if you have met your twin flame, if you've been activated, if you like met in this incarnation, you're meant to be together. And I don't honestly know if I believe that anymore. And I know that might be disappointing to people, but it doesn't mean you can't believe that. But it might just be that we're meant to activate each other sometimes, and who knows if some people will be together or not. But it doesn't mean that you're not together, obviously, on a soul level, as this explains, that she's clearly got the merging. She feels him next to her when she sleeps. She feels his hand on her lap, and I completely get that. Again, if you've watched our video about merging, I've described things that we've had that are totally cool that way. So I don't know if the question is just about merging, or is it like, will we be together, or why are we not together? Did you get a more clear?
Well, as per normal, I was reading this question for the very, very first time.
Yes.
stumbled into the couple of the grammatical bits that I didn't quite read right. But what I see here is this person has been in a relationship with their twin. They have met their twin. They've had a chance to understand their connection. They're actually having it happen instead of just feeling it like a ghost that never comes closer, never goes away. So you've already had a relationship. Yes, you definitely want more. Don't blame you for that at all.
Oh, for sure.
But you've had I'll use the term blessing of having had this relationship live and in person and in front of you and with you. So it's already been a blessing, and you want to know whether or not this blessing can continue another time, even though this person is back in town and hasn't been in touch.
Right.
They must have something that is blocking them from wanting to be in touch. And this causes...
Can I change one word?
Sure.
I don't know if it's necessarily wanting to be in touch. It might be that they want to be in touch, but it just doesn't feel right, or they're pulling back because they don't want to hurt the other person, or, there might be other things, but it's not necessarily that they don't want to be in touch.
Maybe there was something about the relationship the other time. Maybe it was too powerful, and they're afraid to be in touch.
That's
there's bits and pieces that they can handle, but other bits and pieces they can't. So that fear is stopping them from being in touch. Maybe they don't know how much they've grown.
Right.
We've talked about that a fair bit tonight. Not quite a bit.
Right. Not quite a bit.
That's another us bit. Sorry, I shouldn't have brought that in.
Not quite a bit. Well, even think of our own connection. How many times did we not want to be in touch? We almost always wanted to be in touch.
We always wanted to be in touch.
But we resisted for whatever reasons. Fear, insecurity, not wanting to hurt the other person, not wanting to hurt ourselves. Lots of things, right? So it's...
The list just goes on and on. You put 10 people in a room, that list of different styles of concern, be it a style of fear, and in some cases it's literally a fear of success.
Yeah. Or an unworthiness. I don't deserve this person, or I don't want to be in their life because clearly I've hurt them before. I don't want to hurt them again.
The adjectives just
lots of things
go on for what seems to be limitless ever.
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily take his lack of reaching out to you as, that he's not interested or doesn't care. He might have a lot of his own reasons that he's trying to spare you. He's doing the noble thing for you. That's often more what it is than, they're like, nah, don't care.
Again, I come back to the thought of if you happen to be in touch with this person, as in have the ability to send them a message of some type, be genuine. But also, if you have the opportunity to be genuine and say something along the lines of, hi, I would love to be in touch, and I don't want to do anything that would hurt us. Just something, a simple message like that, if you could pass that message on to them,
Yeah.
give them an opportunity to respond. Some people wait for the other person to respond because that's what was supposed to happen. But sometimes the other person doesn't necessarily remember the ball was in their court.
Now, as far as the last piece goes, I wonder what you think in terms of the merging. Definitely sounds like merging for sure. No argument there. I don't know exactly if there's more to the question that I'm missing though. Like, are you wanting to know if because we have merging, does that mean we're going to come into union, or? So I'm not sure where to go with that. Do you have any thoughts?
Because this relationship feels like it has a really good grounded 5-dimensional aspect, it really, I believe, comes down to the 3-dimensional concerns. And therefore, communication is key. It really does. I totally agree that a lot of merging has happened. But then again, anytime that you have a success in any relationship, let alone a twin flame relationship, it is some form of merging, because that success is a melding and a working together of either ideals or ideas. Either word works.
Okay.
So merging sometimes is a surprise as you get into the more complex relationships, like a twin flame relationship, because it's sometimes so hard to find those common grounds. Where in less developed relationships, non-binding spiritual relationships, it's pretty easy to find a common ground too.
A common ground, but not necessarily have merging.
Yeah.
Merging is, at least in my experience, unique to a twin flame or a deep soul connection.
It certainly is a bigger accomplishment with the more difficult, more complex relationships.
Yeah. And it's not something that just the average person experiences, that you can go, oh yeah, I've merged with somebody. They'd be like, what? Like, even, this person shared she's communicated with other twin flame coaches and guides and stuff, and they'd never talked about merging. It's one of those things, unless you've lived it, you don't get it, because it's weird, it's unique, it's very strange.
Having worked with TF guides, as I was speaking that, the words in the back of my mind were, it takes one to know one. So it's one thing to understand the concepts, but until you've lived them, experienced them, it's very hard to truly relate to them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if somebody told me they could feel their twin inside them, or feel them touching them or doing things, I'd be like, you might be a little crazy, don't you think? But because I've lived it myself, I get it. I know what that means. I know what that feels like.
Some people talk about their auras combining. When, let's say, one gives the other one a hug, and then all of a sudden the auras feel like they're one. Yeah, I could believe that, because it absolutely makes sense to me because I have felt that.
Yeah. So as far as the question or the guidance, I'm not really sure what this person was looking for. So I'm just throwing things out there. Like Rob said, though, yeah, if you feel guided, be the one to initiate. Since you know this person's back in town and they haven't contacted you, if you feel like that's something you want to do, reach out to them. And I know that's vulnerable, especially when you have abandonment issues like you've expressed in this. But that's part of the growth, right? Is being able to move past some of those issues and fears and go, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable and risk it.
You know, it's tough to have abandonment concerns if one has never felt connection. In other words, you can't miss what you've never felt.
Right.
So it's not surprising to me that abandonment keeps on coming up and coming up and coming up as a commonality with people who are twin flames or even soulmates. It just keeps on coming back because these people have advanced enough that they have felt and experienced enough connections through all of their experiences, maybe even in different lives, let's bring those in too, that they know what connection is, and therefore they can define abandonment because they recognize it so readily.
They know what connection is, so they know what disconnection is.
Yeah, okay. All those words, and she just threw it into a short sentence.
That's usually your skill. I've merged with you on learning your skills.
You're borrowing my skills and using them on me.
Yeah. Okay, now there's another one for you.
Very simple question, and I don't know how complex to make the answer. It was so simple I was able to glance down and read the whole question. Rob, during separation, does the divine masculine get dreams of his divine feminine too? If so, how often? Like every day? Boy, I don't know which card to pull out of this. You know, some people pull the sympathy card, some people pull the victim card. I'm going to maybe pull the, is there much difference in this case between the divine masculine and divine feminine? Someone's trying to say, does the divine masculine get dreams of his divine feminine too? Depends upon the level of connection that they've experienced. Sometimes it can be once a day, sometimes it can be once a week. Maybe it's only once a month. But I'd say that when that thought, if you're going to talk about the divine masculine, thinking about the divine feminine, when that thought comes along, it's seldom watered down. It's a strong thought. So whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, I think it's the depth of the thought that's more important than the frequency of the thought.
But they're asking specifically dreams.
Yeah. Thought, okay. I was using the word thought as dreams.
Like, did you dream of me when we were apart? I'm going to guess no.
Not often.
No.
At all, no.
No. Because this is where the divine feminine often gets confused, as we try to put the way we do things on the masculine and say, well, he must do that too. And they rarely do. That's why you're different. Yes, twin flames are the same, but you're also different. That's what makes us so unique, is we have so many similarities, but a lot of differences too. So while the feminine dreams, because we are in the more intuitive, the feeling, whereas the masculine is much more in the thinking, in the mind, in the logical, not in the emotions.
Hence why if the masculine was going to dream, it would be more like the masculine energy would think of that person while they're coming in or out of sleep. That's when they would think of the person. While their intellectual bit can still think about it, but they're closer to the subconscious where they can then communicate about it at the same time.
Which is interesting that you started answering the question with the word thinking rather than dreaming, because that's the divine masculine's way of being in the world. So that makes total sense.
Yes, so the divine masculine would more likely need to be at that merging part of being asleep and awake in order for that connection.
The alpha brainwave state.
Yeah. Because a thought would just blast in and out, but in order for a thought to be considered to be the dream, it would have to be in both states. So that transition would be more likely when that would happen. And if that person, that divine masculine, is working on a massive job project, probably the divine feminine isn't going to make it into that particular transition.
It's funny you mention that because that's exactly what I was thinking. The masculine, in your dreams, I'm guessing, they're more about like working stuff out. Like often, like if you have a major work issue in your dreams, you'll be like, oh, I know what to do. When you wake up, you'll get like an intuitive hit of this is what I need to do to fix that. That's where the dreaming is more on the logical side than the emotional side.
Yes, I'm going to say yes. Because, for example, if we're planning a trip, let's say if we're going to go on a cruise, I'd be more likely to dream about ships right before I wake up. Yeah, that would often happen. So
is it fair to answer this question and say not often does the masculine, in general, of course, we can't speak for every masculine, everybody's different, but in general, the masculine does not dream of the feminine near as much as the feminine dreams of the masculine.
Very true. I'm going to say very true. And someone will say, nope, that's not how it worked for me. And that's why you say very true instead of always.
Right, because there's still differences. It's not a blanket statement that all masculines live this way and that's it. Now I think it's a bit my turn. Well, it's not addressed to me, but all right.
The question is, could you please give us any tips on how to manage our energy as to not suffocate them, meaning probably,
the masculine.
Usually.
Again, this was from another video where we were talking about managing your energy, because often what the feminine does is when the masculine finally communicates, the feminine goes, ah, and then they just jump on them energetically, and sometimes like with a long text and so much detail that then the masculine goes, okay, too much, and then they're gone again, right?
Yeah, it's one thing to burst a water balloon over someone's head. It's another thing to drop a swimming pool on them.
Robin has analogies.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll reread these questions. There's 2 questions addressed to that sort of topic that we had mentioned in the previous question and answer.
Want me to try that all again except finish it?
Sure.
Can you please give us any tips on how to manage our energy as to not suffocate them while in communication? Any practical advice?
And then the other one is tied with it, so we might as well ask that together.
And when can the DF stop trying to appear I'm chill?
I love that.
I'm cool with this. Now would you hurry up and catch up? I'm still cool. Obviously, you two are never at that stage of, oops, too much energy giving, I'm out of here.
We're over that stage.
Is it linked to healing? And do both need to do the healing?
Yes. So I just wanted to read both these questions together because they're about the same topic that we addressed in, I don't even know which question and answer video that was. But so first of all, can you give any tips on how to manage your energy so as not to suffocate the masculine? So if the masculine finally communicates after God knows how long that you've not heard from them, the first thing usually the feminine wants to do is just like dump everything, whether it's their energy or physical words or their physical presence. They're just like, oh my God, they communicated. And then they're like so excited that they just go, ah, and jump on the masculine. And whether the masculine is conscious that they feel all of that, probably not, but it's too much. And then they pull away again. So you might be like, what the hell is wrong with this person? Why? The minute that I communicate, they take off again. Like they barely just reached out to me again, finally, after so long. And then I respond, and now they don't respond back.
Gee, all I did was just give them like half a lifetime's worth of stuff to absorb in the span of 4 days, and they didn't like it. They ran away again.
And I was totally guilty of that. I completely understand that because I've been there. As the feminine, what are feminines again? We are talkers. We work through our emotions. We like our girlfriends. And again, to clarify, feminine doesn't mean you have to be the female. You can have a male that has the feminine energy, but we're the ones that are the more social. So when we have a problem, we want to talk about it. We want to go to our friends and work it out. So when the masculine comes around, we want to share everything with them. And then the masculine's like, dear God, I've just been hit by a train. I don't know what to do with all this information. And then they're like, never mind, I'm just going to go away again. Clearly, you're too much for me still.
I'm just going to blow this all completely all to pieces. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Don't overfeed him. He won't like it.
That's so good. Perfect. Don't overfeed him with energy.
It's just going to hurt. He's going to have a stomach ache, indigestion. He's not going to eat that meal again. No. Too many cookies.
That's a great analogy. Okay, so the question is...
But also don't just feed him vegetables either. That's not exciting either.
Can you please give us tips on how to manage our energy? Yes. Okay, so the first thing, so when that text or that phone call or that some sort of communication comes in that you've been waiting for forever,
Hi.
the first thing you want to do is like respond immediately. Like it's barely been sent. You haven't even read it all because you're just so excited. You're like, oh my God.
Meanwhile, he's hit the ringer on his phone because he's going, okay, now I got to give myself a chance to calm down. I've managed to communicate. I bet you she's just going to pounce all over this. Ringer's off. I'm going to see what's on the other end of my phone tomorrow morning after I've had a chance to sleep because this has taken a lot of energy to even just send this hello again message.
So the first thing you want to do is stop. Pause. Read the whole message, not just once. Maybe even read it 3 times.
No.
Slowly.
They do it 3 times anyway. Don't worry about it. They're going to read it 5 times. Read slowly is what Angie's
slowly. Process it all. Gain your emotions. And realize what happens to you. So that's why the pause is important. Catch yourself in that moment when, oh my God, they've actually texted me. And be aware of the energy that's bringing up for you. Like it might be excitement. It might be overwhelm. It might be anger. It might be a lot of anger because it's like you bleep, 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 bleep. You haven't communicated in however long and all of a sudden now you decide just when I've finally gotten some peace in my life, because that's often what's happening because on an energetic level, they feel you. And when you're finally balanced and calm is when they reach out. And then the minute they feel that you're balanced and calm, you turn not balanced and calm after getting their energy, and then you go crazy on them again, and then they go, okay, never mind, and then they pull away again, and then you just keep doing this dance.
Hence why the ringer goes off on the phone right away, because the masculine doesn't know this for certain, but they've just got this feeling that everything's just going bah! On the other end, because that's what happened last time, and they hope that it just doesn't happen again, because as the masculine, especially if this is time 3 or time 4 of communication, the last time you said, look, this is too much for me, and the masculine hopes that you've remembered that. But in the meanwhile, they have no evidence that you've remembered that. That's why the ringer's off.
Speaking from the masculine side, did
Yeah.
you do that with me? Did you turn your ringer off on me?
Back in the olden days, I had no idea how to turn off a ringer. It wasn't just a little flicker thing.
Yeah, we didn't have cell phones back in the old days.
No,
we had
don't.
like real dial phones.
Or if we had a cell phone, it
was a big brick.
It was a brick that didn't really. It had maybe a mutant button. A mutant button. Okay. Too much pandemic. Sorry, inside joke. Hopefully, you may not have even heard that. It had a mute button, but it didn't really have like a turn everything off but still get the message. Generally, just hit the power button, shut it right off. Everything goes to voicemail.
Okay, so back to the instructions. You want to just pause. You want to breathe. You want to get a hold of your energy and wait until you're in a balanced state. And you might go, well, what's a balanced state? I don't know what that is. That's good. That's your time to start practicing and go, what is a balanced state? What does that feel like?
A balanced state would be a state where somebody wouldn't be able to tell that you're in a form of excitement or distress.
Right.
Somebody from the outside.
So this is not about playing games and going, okay, well now they called, so I'm going to wait 3 days, and because that's what do they call that in the Sex and the City? That's what the rule book says. If you've watched Sex and the City, they talk about the rule book.
If you think at all that you're sending energy out, chances are you are.
Absolutely.
And the masculine doesn't know that they're getting energy. It's not like it's a match lighting their earlobe on fire. They're just hearing that little voice inside of their head going, oh boy, what have I done? What have I done 10 minutes after they've done it? Because they can feel some energy somewhere hitting them. They can't even define it. They barely even know it's there, but something is just like a giant warning sign of, okay, prepare for the worst. That's what happened last time. And if you can come back with something less than the worst, could be impressive. Positively impressive.
And what you might also want to do is read about codependency. Learn what that is. Learn how our energy is when we're codependent. When we're codependent, we're like glomming on. The minute somebody comes to us, we're like hanging on for dear life.
You're kissing them from the 100th time and getting gooped. No, not quite. Not quite.
Almost. No, that's just incredibly extra, nurturing, lovey. That's not you at all.
Okay. Exit stage. Right. That's it.
So, yeah, learn what your energy is feeling like inside you and learn to manage that before you respond so that you don't respond with so much excitement, fear, whatever else, so that you can respond in a balanced way. Again, this is to learn balance, right? Learning to balance your energy so you're not one extreme or the other. So then the other person was asking about it as well and saying, when can the DF stop trying to appear chill? It's when you finally have balance, because then you're not trying anymore, you just are. Until you find the balance, you're practicing the balance, and that's why you're trying to appear chill. When you have the balance, you're not trying anymore.
You just are.
Yes.
You just are chill. You come across as being safe because you are safe. It's not about wearing the mask of chill or wearing the mask of safe or wearing the mask of I'm not going to bombard you like I did last time. It's actually being safe, being understanding, being actually as empathetic towards the divine masculine as you wish the divine masculine was to you.
Yes.
Living in their shoes, understanding that they're not being jerks, understanding that they have a sensitivity of their own that they also are trying to learn to live with. And your exuberance stomps all over that sensitivity.
Another piece is learning to tune into your inner guidance. So for example, when Rob and I were coming into union and I knew about twin flames and he was just learning about it, I wanted to dump everything on him. I wanted to tell him everything that I had learned in the year and a half and give it all to him in one night. And of course I couldn't do that because I knew that would overwhelm him. So what I did was go with my guidance. I would not tell him something until I was guided to. And often I wasn't guided to until he asked for it. So it's not that your masculine necessarily has to ask for something, but learn to tune into the guidance and go with the flow of what feels right.
I actually remember that slightly differently, but that's good. I remember it from the thought that you asked numerous times if I was ready for more.
Yes.
Most of the time I said, yes, I'll take a bit more. And I think there was a couple of times where I said, I'm overwhelmed, I've had enough, and you backed off.
And I'm busy filing and sorting.
Yeah, filing and sorting.
That was part of your text, yes.
So That was Angie's achievement of chill.
Right. And of learning balance, right? That was my own way of learning balance, of knowing when to give more and when not to, when to back off.
And when to ask.
Yeah.
And I had to learn my own balances because sometimes I asked for more and I got more and I got more than I could really handle. So then I had to ask for a little bit of time to sort and file. So our own different levels and styles of chill actually matched up, and we were able to communicate, able to allow information, especially coming my direction, to come at me in bite-sized pieces that I could digest.
Look at that, bringing the analogy full circle. Look at you. So also, though, keep in mind, you're not going to get it all right all the time. It's a practice. It's a dance. We still get it wrong sometimes. It's just part of being human. It doesn't mean just because you found balance, you're in balance all the time, because life is always ebbing and flowing. So you're having to find new balances. I mean, there's days we'll come home from work and wanted to share everything with each other, and then one of us is overloaded, usually me.
I come home with all sorts of stories of fun stuff that happened in the day, and I get I'm behind my computer, and I just need to chill look. And then I have to swallow my stories.
For the moment.
For the moment, and bring them back later.
And this is where, sorry, go ahead.
But this is also where the communication of understanding of overload and...
That's exactly where I was going to go. Yes.
Comes from. You set those groundwork, those parameters very, very early so that the other person has a way of communicating when they've had enough.
And that's where even maybe you practice and start a message with, I don't want to overload you. If I do, please let me know. So you're giving them clear communication of what your intention is and what your intention is not, and then you're inviting them to participate so that they can then tell you, okay, I've had enough, this is too much, or whatever. And again, it's a dance. It's not like you're going to get it right on the first try, and you might not get it right on the 15th try sometimes. You might get it right on the 12th try and the 13th try, and then the 14th try, you go, oops, I screwed up again. That's okay. We're always learning, and things are always changing. So it's a constant practice, and that's what balance is. Balance is, it's not like, you're on a log and you got it all figured out and it's always going to stay stable. No, balance is always, it's teeter-tottering, and you got to keep that balance. So don't beat yourself up when you're like, oh, I just gave them way too much energy again, and oh, they just pulled away again. It's all right. You'll get it.
Agreed. Yeah, it's sometimes when the other person isn't ready, it becomes obvious because you lose them again for a while. And then other times the person's completely ready and the communication works, and it develops into a full-fledged relationship.
I think communication is number one, though. The more authentic you can be, which that's the important piece of growth, right? The more you know yourself, the more you can communicate authentically. The more they know themselves, the more they can also communicate authentically, but the more they can receive your authentic communication. So that's where the time apart is really beneficial, because it allows each of you to get to know yourself really well so that you can communicate to the other person. This is where I'm at, this is what I need, this is what I'm feeling. So hopefully that's helpful. We just noticed we're over an hour, so we're going to end here. Of course, there's lots more questions, as always, but we'll save those for another video.
Sounds good. This one was fun.
Yes, it was.
I'm glad I got my apology for everything.
And you even wore the right color for it. Well done. Look at that. Talk about blue rays while we're wearing blue.
And I kind of enjoyed this location.
Yeah,
this was good.
We brought some love.
We did. We got the angel with its blue in the middle.
Yep. Funny enough.
Just never ends.
Yes.
All right.
All right, so happy solstice, and we'll catch you in another month or so.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.